Okay, testing. Hello, hello. Perfect. Just gonna run to the washroom quickly before we start. I believe we're just waiting on the steps and then we will begin. So, one moment, please. And we are back. So, welcome everyone to the stream. Today we arrive at Qatar for round 14 of Division 1 here in DER. This is Mookie. I will be your commentator for today. Servilier is away. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start off. Well, I would start out with the standings, but they haven't been updated. So, after round 12, which was Miami, I'm not sure if Servilier gave you guys a standings update, but after that race, we had Yuri with a fairly comfortable lead in the Drivers' Championship. He's currently got 323 points, ahead of Kaká in second with 273 points. Sitting in third place is the Steps with 259 points. Moving on to the Constructors' standings, Ferrari also have a not comfortable lead, but they have a respectable lead in first place, 435 points for the Prancing Horse, and in second place is Williams with 383 points. Quite a bit further away is Mercedes in third with 322 points. Behind them, Haas and Racing Bulls only 6 and 12 points behind, 8 and 12, points behind Mercedes, respectively, for Haas and the RBs. So there is still a lot to play for here at round 14. After this race, we have two more, Silverstone and Yas Marina, with the season wrapping up on the 3rd of February. So we've got 2 weeks to go, 14 days. So currently the fastest lap has been set by Yuri with a 1 minute 20.9, your championship leader. In second is Cutthroat, who allegedly is running 11-11 wings. So not sure how that is going to work out for him during the race, but he's sitting in second place right now, so he must know something that we don't. Usually, you want to run high wings around Qatar. Some drivers are even running maximum wings, like 50-40, or some, I wouldn't be surprised, they're running 50-50, which is max. Yet to set a lap is Marios, Kaká, Oliver Ritchie, and Transilo Sun. So we're going to ride on board with Marios, but he is invalid. So Cutthroat is just starting a lap, it looks like. Paddy is just finishing his lap. He's actually pitting. Sparrow isn't on a lap. Looks like Wazah's on a lap. He's nearly 3/10 up on his time. Currently in P9 with a 1 minute 24.1. Let's see if he can improve here in the RB. He can help improve their constructors' standings position with a good result here today. Looks like he lost on his personal best during Sector 2. Let's see if he can finish off the lap nicely here through Sector 3, final corner. Opening the DRS and up to the line. What's it going to be for Wazah? He doesn't improve on his time, 3/10 down, and he will stay in P9 for the time being. Transilo Sun has gone purple in the first sector. We're going to stick with him for the rest of the lap here to see if he can make some waves at the top. Approaching the second intermediate now, and it's not purple. This is, of course, his first flying lap of the session. Looks neat and tidy so far. Fourth gear, short shift up to fifth. Accelerate, power through the final corner, opening the DRS, and he puts it on to P4. So on the second row for the McLaren driver. Oh, not anymore, as Qatar goes up to P2 with a 1 minute 21.8. Shermanator looks like he's on a lap. Divine might be starting one as well. So is James. Wazza stayed out for another lap. This time he's up on his time. Going through the final corner again now. Third gear. Oh, and he makes a late decision to dive into the pits. Must have lost on his time in the last sector there. Oliver Ritchie now, the Haas driver. Let's see what he can do on his first flying lap so far. And he puts it onto the front row. Second place for Oliver Ritchie. 1 minute 21.4. Very solid lap from him. So Divine, James, Shermanator. Let's ride on board a Shermanator. He's 4 tenths up on his previous lap time. He's currently in P10. Let's see what he can do now. Shermanator up to P7. Well done from the Kick Sauber driver. Divine currently down on his time, nearly 2 tenths down in the Scarlet Ferrari, and he has a big snap of oversteer. He did a good job keeping that one out of the wall, and he will regroup and take another attempt. James is approaching the final corner now. Let's see what he can do. In P12 with a 1 minute 23.4. He's got his overtake button enabled and he's crossing the line. He improves on his time, but not his position. So James will stay in P12 for the time being. Yarno Beast is up on his time by over a second is the McLaren driver. He's currently in 14th place with a 1 minute 25.5. So he needs a 1.4 second gain to catch Wazza, who's 1 spot ahead of him. So he's currently 2 seconds up as he's just starts sector 3. So he might be able to challenge the top 10 here. Let's see what the McLaren driver can do. Approaching the final corner now. Had some nice speed there on the limit of track limits. Staying all the way to the left on the pit straight, and he puts it into P10 with a 1 minute 22.6. Solid lap from him. And that appears to be it. Yuri might be starting a lap. I'm not sure why he's... That's some interesting strategy right there. Stay all the way to the inside, right up against the barrier, and then swing it back to the outside on the entry of the corner. So, yeah, trying to avoid the bumps or something maybe. I'm not sure, but he is the championship leader and I am not, so I will not question his tactics. He goes purple through sector 1, almost a tenth up on his previous lap time. He's currently half a second clear of Oliver Ritchie in P2, so he's looking to extend his gap further at the top of the field. So let's see what Yuri can do here. Approaching the second intermediate, the 3 flat out right-handers. Let's see if he can take them flat out. It's purple sector 2, a tenth and a half up, flat, flat. And the third one is also flat for Yuri. Left-hander now, that one's flat as well. Final corner for Yuri. Sitting on provisional pole with a 1 minute 20.974. Overtake button enabled, DRS open, and he improves by 3 tenths of a second, making his lap time a 1 minute 20.6. A blitzing lap from the Ferrari driver. Yarno Beast has improved to P6, and it appears that he's on another flying lap as well. Very neat and tidy through the first sector, and he's nearly a tenth and a half up on his time, which would put him up in P5. His teammate Transilo Sun is also starting a flying lap now. Yarno Beast with a solid middle sector. He remains at a tenth and a half up on his time. Went a little bit wide there on the exit of one of the right-handers. Oh, and he goes very, very deep into the final corner and dives into the pits. So that was a huge mistake, and it must have cost him loads of lap time. Transilo Sun, about a tenth and a half up on his time. About to finish the middle sector now, enabling the overtake button briefly, and he's up by nearly 0.4 of a second. So this would be a very healthy time gain for the McLaren driver if he can keep it together. It would put him all the way up in P5, maybe even P4 or P3. Let's see what he can do now. Up to the final corner. Don't do what your teammate did. He does a nice job keeping it nice and tight to the apex. Overtake button enabled. He's got lots of battery to play with, and he puts it up into P4, just 1,000th of a second away from the Williams of Qatar in P3. Heartbreaking for the McLaren driver, but a very, very good lap nonetheless. Sparrow's on a lap as well in the Red Bull, 2.5 tenths up on his previous time. 1 minute 22.8, and P11 is where he currently stands. He's about 2.5 tenths-ish off Marios and almost 3 tenths off Paddy in P10 and 9 respectively. So he can have a couple of positions gained here with a solid lap with 2.5 minutes remaining in qualifying. 4.5 tenths up on his time through the second intermediate. He's only got one more sector to go now. To the flat out left-hander. Let's see if he can take it flat. He does. Approaching the final corner now. Hot lap battery mode. Down to 4th gear. Powering through the final corner. Enabling the overtake button and opening the DRS. It's P9 for Sparrow. Solid lap from him. Gains 2 positions. We're going to ride on board with Kaka now. Oh, he is down on his time quite considerably. So, who's next? McLaren. That must be Yarno Beast. No. Oh, he's pitting. Red Bull, RB, I'm sorry, the steps. Okay. So I'll start with the steps. And then, I don't think James is on a lap. He's not. Okay, so start with the steps. Then we're going to go to the other Mercedes. Paddy. Right? Right, okay. The steps, Paddy, and then Yuri. There's 2 Hasses behind him. Steps, Paddy, Yuri, and the Hasses. Oh, Yuri's slowing down. Oh, and the steps is invalid. So we're going to move on to Paddy now. He's 2.5 tenths up on his time. Currently in P10, so not his best result. We've seen Paddy do better. Maybe it was just a poor start to the session. Let's see if he can gain here and work his way back up the grid at the closing stages of qualifying. Through Sector 2 now, he says the purple middle sector, 4.5 tenths up on his time. That would put him round about P6 if he's lucky. Final corner now. He takes it in 5th gear. Oh, little slide on the exit. That might have cost him, but he's got no choice now because the checkered flag is out. He crosses the line, and he goes into P6. 1 minute 22.0. Solid recovery from the Mercedes driver. Next across the line is Cutthroat, and after him, Oloa Richie. Cutthroat goes way wide, and his lap got invalidated. No surprises there. think. Okay, that was Yuri. So we've got Mercedes crossing the line. Yarno Beast improves to P5. Solid lap from the McLaren driver. Next up would be Divine in the Ferrari. He's pitting. Behind him is a Alpine of Marios. He improves his time, but not his position. He stays in P10. Shermanator is invalid. Behind him would be James. He's down on his time. Behind him appears to be the Steps, but he's invalid. Oh, he was able to start another lap. And he's 5/10 up on his time. Let's see what the Steps can do. He can move all the way up into P2 here. Oh, and is he out of fuel? He's out of fuel on his final flying lap. That's heartbreaking for the RB driver. He had the pace to go on the front row, but he's going to have to settle for P8 after running out of fuel on his final flying lap. So there you have it then. Yuri takes pole, a commanding pole position by almost 0.8 of a second. So Yuri, the Dutch driver, is on pole with a 1 minute 20.6, a very strong showing from the Haas cars, P2 and 3 for them. 1 minute 21.4, 5.2, and 1 minute 21.469. Going down the rest of the grid, we've got Kaka, Yarno Beast, Transiloson, Patty, The Steps, Shermanator, Marios, Sparrow, Divine, James, and Waza. So we will begin the formation lap now as Yuri leads the pack off into the distance. I'll take a look at the tires. We've got mixed strategies. So Waza currently, well, he's starting, I should say, in 14th. So starting on the softs could pay off for him. And I actually like that decision from Waza going on the alternate strategy. He's going to try to gain positions at the start and then defend like a lion once he pits to the inferior tire compound. So not a bad strategy at all from the RB driver. Most of the drivers have opted for the medium tire, which I'm expecting to be the strongest tire today. But few, Yuri included. Oh, and he's just taken out one of the marker boards. Incredible if you're not using the racing line. Touchkey would be fuming. Yeah, so Yuri is one of the drivers who have opted for the hard tires. And for Yuri, this makes sense because if he can build a gap on the inferior compound, then he will be mighty at the end of the race on the softer medium tires. So, very interesting stuff so far. And I'm actually really, really excited for the start of this race because it seems that the drivers are being very strategic about their decisions. If you have any predictions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to go with an Oliver Ritchie victory, a Patty P2, and a Yuri P3. I'm going bold. I've got nothing against Yuri, but I find that every time I'm here, he always bottles it. 5 red lights. It's lights out, and away we go. Yuri gets away well. Oliver Ritchie alongside him into turn one. Great start from Kaká as well. He's alongside the Ferrari and the Haas. Into turn one we go. Kaká looks to go around the outside of Oliver Ritchie, but the speed just isn't there at this stage. Yuri maintains his lead. Oliver Ritchie stays in P2. Kaká up one place in P3, followed by Trencilo's son, Cutthroat, the Steps, and Patty, who are battling it out through the end of the first sector here. And the Steps comes out of that battle in front. Everything looks neat and tidy so far. Wazah on those soft compound tires, up 5 places so far. He's in P9. Oliver Ritchie keeping the pressure on Yuri at the front here. Less than 2 tenths separate the Ferrari and the Haas. On the medium tires, let's see if Oliver Ritchie can use that extra speed to get past the Dutch driver here. Track limits are very, very difficult around here, so the drivers who stay away from penalty trouble will come out advantageous in the end. Yuri's gaining in the slipstream. He's using his battery. Oliver Ritchie, is gaining in the slipstream and using his battery. He's currently alongside Yuri and ahead. He's got the inside line to turn one, and he holds his position. We have a new leader of the Qatar Grand Prix, and that is Oliver Ritchie. Your hero after the first lap is Wazah, gaining a whopping 6 positions. And your biggest faller from your opening lap is Yarno Beast, dropping 8 positions and making a pit stop already. So we've got a bit of a train forming from front to back. DRS is now enabled since one racing lap has been completed, meaning that if you are within 1 second of the car in front, you will be able to get a little bit of extra speed down the eligible straights. This will help overtaking and hopefully will promote some close racing action for our viewing pleasure today. I'm going to say first track limits penalty goes to Shermanator. That's going to be my prediction. Oliver Ritchie sets the fastest lap of this race on those mediums, but Yuri in the Ferrari is still hot on his heels. Don't count Kaká out of this race either. He's got loads of pace, and he's doing a good job being quiet, but also keeping a close gap to the front runners. I need an overhead camera right now. That would be nice. They keep giving me these close up. I want to see everybody. I believe this track is laser scanned. If it's not laser scanned, it's they did some technology to make it as close as possible to real life. For sure, I know for a fact that they revamped it uh, in 24 game. It's new and improved compared to the 23 game. And Yuri uses his extra speed down the straight so we can see to the fans' enjoyment. And he is back up into the lead. Oliver Ritchie is not going down without a fight, though. He's got some great speed. In a straight line, he opts to stay behind. And this is what I'm talking about. Yuri already running into trouble on lap 4 here. He's the first driver this race to receive a track limits penalty. So this is what is crucial, because at the end of the race, let's say there's a late safety car or something, you are going to be at a huge disadvantage if you've picked up a couple penalties earlier in the race. So Yuri may have the pace, but that penalty is definitely not his friend right now. And if I'm Olo Ritchie, I am doing everything in my power to stay as close as possible to the Ferrari in front. As soon as he dips out of that DRS range, he is going to be a sitting duck to Kaká, Transilo's son, and the steps behind him. Currently doing a good job, 8/10 behind the Ferrari, and he's going to gain on him a little bit through the DRS zone. Divine, the other Ferrari, is the next driver to pick up a time penalty. So this is what I was saying earlier. This track is very, very harsh on track limits, and I wouldn't be surprised if almost every driver has a track limit penalty by the end. It's only lap 5, and we've already got 2 drivers picking up penalties. We're almost at like the 16-ish progress mark of this race. 16-ish% progress completed so far around, right? Because 5 divided by 30, 16%, something like that. I have to double check now. Five divided by 30, 16.6. So, or you know what I mean, 0.16666. So yeah, around about 17%. We've completed about 17% of this race, and we've already got 2 drivers with penalties. So you do the math, and by the end, that's almost every single driver. So Oliver Ritchie actually sets the fastest lap so far this race on that lap. There we go. That's the overhead camera that we need. And he's gaining on Yuri here with the helping of DRS. Gap is now 2.5 tenths between the Haas and the Ferrari. I'm not going to change this camera because this is what we want. Not unless I absolutely have to. Got some movement at the back of the field with Divine and Wazar. but I don't want to step away from this battle just yet. We've got 5 cars at the front of the field within DRS of each other. Oh, and Wazaa also has a track limit penalty now, so not looking good if you're driving around Qatar right now. Looks like Shermanator and Yarno Beast are the only drivers to have stopped so far. Everyone else is on their original set of tires. So, Wazaa on softs, I'm assuming he will be making his stop shortly. And for the medium compound runners, probably this is difficult because sometimes the mediums can last more than half the race, and it's advantageous to be on them for longer because they are grippier than the hards. So I'm going to guess around lap 13 is going to be the crossover point if you're on mediums. And Oliver Ritchie is going to get past Yuri and move back up into the lead here at the start of lap 8. So you still have to keep in mind that Yuri is on the harder tires. So theoretically, when they both make their stops, Yuri will be quicker on the softer compound. But Oliver Ritchie is causing him loads of trouble right now because obviously Yuri's got that penalty, and being in front, he is holding Yuri up a bit. He doesn't have the clean air anymore, and now he's going to be a bit aggressive and a bit frantic to try and get by the Haas. So if I'm Oliver Ritchie, I think I'm in a very good spot right now, and he's doing a great job here in the first part of this race. We're about a third of the way through now, almost. Yuri is right on the gearbox of that Haas car. No! I wish they could let you pick the camera angle. And here we have it then. Not one, but 2 cars are going to get by Oliver Ritchie here down the pit straight. Kaká moves up into second place, and Yuri moves up into the lead once more. So for the first, and Oliver Ritchie picks up a penalty as well. So now, Kaká is now in a much better spot than the Haas car. Now it's Kaká's turn to get past Yuri. He has saved his battery. He's at a full tank of ERS, but so is Yuri. Oliver Ritchie, not bad, but not great. He's at about 70%. Yeah, so this is the only real battle happening on track so far between the top 5. They're all on the mediums except for Yuri. So if I'm Steps and Transilo-san, I'm thinking about an undercut already. I'm not sure when the crossover period is going to be, but given how close these guys all are, I think an undercut will be very, very beneficial for the guys that are in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And Tranquilo-san has actually dipped out of the DRS range. So if I'm him, I think he should really start thinking about a pit stop now. He's going to be vulnerable uh, of being overtaken by the steps behind him. Yuri picks up another penalty, so not even halfway through this race, and he's already got 6 seconds of penalties. This does not bode well for the Ferrari driver. Yeah, as I was saying, Tranquilo-san is not going to have an easy time keeping the steps behind him. He's going to have a hard time gaining on Oliver Ritchie up in front as well. So now wouldn't be a bad time to make the switch and gain on the fresh set of tires. Oh, but he's shipping away, and it seems that he's gotten back into DRS. So, but I do expect the crossover period to be coming soon. The Steps is in the pits. The Steps is the first medium compound runner in the pits. He's looking for an undercut. I think this is the right call from the RB driver. Let's see how it benefits him. He's going to come out of the pits with some clear air. He's got 12 seconds in front of him and loads of time behind him. So he's got clear air. He can push without worrying about having to clear any back markers. And this is actually played perfectly into the RB driver's hands. Wouldn't be a bad idea for Kaká to think about a stop soon as well. Same with Tranquilo-san. Obviously, with that penalty for Oliver Ritchie, since he's on the same strategy, you're going to want to get track position on him as soon as possible. As for Yuri, obviously the penalty isn't good for him. As we can see, Oliver Ritchie, Kaká, and Tranquilo-san all make their way into the pits. They're all trying to cover off the undercut from the steps. So in doing that, it has left Yuri without any pressure behind him, and now he can just focus on his own race. So they gave up on Yuri, and now they're just trying to cover up the steps. This is going to be very interesting. Is the steps going to get past them into turn one? Let's see. He's going to get ahead of Tranquilo-san by quite a bit, actually, but he just loses out to Oliver Ritchie and Kaká. So it was a good call from the steps, but he's kind of triggered a chain reaction now where he caused his competitors to make a pit stop as well. And it kind of worked out well for Yuri, I'm not going to lie. So now we have to wait and see when Yuri makes his pit stop. He's going to lose time to these guys because they're on fresh tires. But once Yuri makes his pit stop onto the softer medium compound tires, we expect him to be quicker and be able to overtake them after his pit stop. However, he does have that hefty penalty, which could also increase as this race goes on. So this is very, very interesting as we are approaching the halfway point of this race. This is really anyone's race at this stage. Anyone, or any of the top five, I should say, Yuri, Oliver Ritchie, Kaká, Steps, and Tranquilo-san, they're all in contention for victory here today. So let's see who can get it done. Kaká gaining in the slipstream, but nothing doing on this particular occasion. It appears that the main straight is the only real overtaking opportunity, as the steps, it's the fastest lap of this race, and for the second time in this race, Oliver Ritchie is going to get double overtaken into turn one. Kaka's up in the P4, and Steps is up in the P5. So Yuri has made his pit stop. He is now switched to the medium tires. And now we're going to see if they can get by him. The Steps gets past Kaka, and Yuri has managed to stay ahead even after his pit stop. So that is really, really helpful for the Ferrari driver. He doesn't have to clear any of these guys. And now he can just focus on building the gap and negating that 6-second time penalty. He's already out of DRS from the Steps behind him. So Yuri put in some good lap times at the end of his stint on the hards, and it has done beautiful work for him. He doesn't have to worry about any pressure behind. He can just focus on heating up those medium tires and pumping in some good lap times to build a 6-second gap behind him. If he can do that, this race is his. He's got 14 and a half laps to go. So I'm going to step away from this battle just for a moment because I haven't really been anywhere else so far this race. We're currently on board with Divine, our league owner. He's half a second behind Shermanator. Divine is on a used set of softs, and Shermanator is on a pretty old set of hards as well. Both drivers will be making pit stops soon. Let's see if Divine can gain on the Kick Sauber here on the softer tires. He's going to have a nice helping of the rear wing here, but he didn't get the exit that I think he would have wanted. So he's going to lose some time at the start of that straight. And he doesn't have the speed to make the overtake into turn one. So we're going to go back on board with Steps. He's 2/10 behind Kaka. Oliver Ritchie, 2/10 behind Steps. Oh! Marios in the wall. I'm not sure what's just happened there. I looked down for a moment and all sorts of things unfolded. I think Steps ran into the back of Kaka there, or Ritchie ran into the back of Steps. I'm not sure. And I think it was a chain reaction. I think Kaka might have hit he might have hit Marios there on his way to the pit lane. Oliver Ritchie driving nicely on this second stint. He's gaining the slipstream. He's going to use the DRS to get past the RB driver. Let's see if Kaká can get past him as well. He doesn't have... Oh, he does have DRS. He doesn't send it, though, into turn 1. So, I think Kaká was able to use the DRS, but opted to not use it so that he could stay behind and wait for a better opportunity. Little mistake there from the Williams driver. He's losing time now. So, yeah, and you can see the gap just coming down, or going up, sorry, like crazy. Yuri already almost 6 seconds ahead, but Oliver Ritchie has a penalty. So Yuri is in a net P1 as it stands, and the only person that can really challenge Yuri at this stage is the steps, unless he picks up another penalty, which would put Oliver Ritchie and Kaká back in contention. So we're going to switch. Oh, never mind. Kaká is not in contention. He's got a 10-second time penalty. So, wow, I missed that. I think Kaká made contact with Marios there as Marios was making his way into the pit lane, and it has given him a 10-second time penalty. So Kaká is not in contention right now. The only person who is the steps, and if Yuri is to pick up another penalty, Oliver Ritchie could take the win as well. But it looks like Yuri is just too powerful on those medium tires. The gap is going up and up and up, and as it stands right now, the steps would have to gain a full second on Yuri, and it just keeps increasing. Now it's 1.2. So yeah, if Steps is gonna do anything, he needs Ritchie to push, and he needs to gain as much time as possible in that DRS. Yeah, 1.5 seconds now separates Steps from victory. This is definitely Yuri's race to lose. What were my predictions? Ritchie, Patty, Yuri. Not too bad. Ritchie and Yuri are currently in a podium position. Patty and P6. He should move up to P5 actually after Kaká's penalty. So yeah, the gap 8 seconds now. The only thing that can save them is another penalty from Yuri, and he's just cruising at the moment, so that appears to be an unlikely scenario. So Oliver Ritchie's going to get past down the main straight here, but it doesn't look like this battle has any meaning anymore. Yuri is speeding off into the distance, and obviously with that 3-second time penalty, the Steps is going to easily pass Oliver Ritchie once they cross the line. It started out really well, but now it is looking like it's going to be a rather anticlimactic finish. Just going to make sure my volume isn't crazy high, because that would mean you wouldn't be able to hear me. And it is at a good spot. Thought Oliver Richie was going to the pits there for a second, but he's just moving off to the inside. So there must be bumps or something uh, on the track approaching turn one, because that's the second time we've seen the drivers do that now. We saw Yuri do it in qualifying, and now we're seeing Oliver Richie do it. So there must be a time gain by staying all the way to the right down the main straight. So yeah, so even if Yuri picks up another penalty here, he still has the gap to take victory. I think the only thing that can save the steps now is a mistake, a big mistake from the Ferrari driver. It looks to be really bumpy though, just by observing the car's behavior. So I have to look into that, but I'm assuming that it's similar to Paul Ricard approaching the flat out right hander after the Mistral straight, um, where there's bumps at certain areas of the track, and if you go over them, you lose like up to a tenth. So over a race distance, that's quite a bit of time. It adds up very, very quickly. So Steps is going to overtake Oliver Richie on track here on lap 25. Oh, big slide from Transilo's son there. It looked like he was uh, gaining on Paddy. Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think Paddy overtook him, and with Kaka's 10-second penalty, Paddy can move up into P4 now. Let's just enjoy the sounds of the engines from here to the end. Now starting the final lap of this race. So we're on board with Yuri now. He's approaching the final corner. He's had an absolutely dominant drive today. He's got penalties, but that won't be stopping him because Yuri will come home to win the Qatar Grand Prix. Oliver Ritchie is going to cross the line in second, Kaká in third, and the Steps in fourth, but the order will change after penalties. The Steps is in second, Ritchie is in third. Next across the line is Paddy. He moves up to fourth after Kaká's penalty. After him, we've got Transilo Sun in P6, Cutthroat in P7 with extremely low downforce. Rios coming across the line in P8. Behind him is Sparrow in P9 in the Red Bull. And last but not least is Waza in P10. The Steps earns Driver of the Day. Very well deserved. So with that, I think Yuri may have secured the Drivers' Championship. He's up by about 50. After last race and this race, I think there's a possibility he's up by 70, 75-ish. We've got 2 races to go. One of them's a sprint. So, okay, he probably didn't clinch it yet, but he's got one hand on the trophy, to say the least. So Yuri wins with the fastest lap, 1 minute 23.3, miles clear of the rest of the drivers. Looking down the rest of the grid, we've got the Steps, who actually gained 6 positions since the start of this race, followed by Oliver Ritchie, Paddy, Kaka, Transilo Sun, Cutthroat, Murillo, Sparrow, Waza, Shermanator, Yarno Beast, Divine Eye, and James. Thank you so much for joining me in the commentary box today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and I should see you tomorrow for Division 2 action. Have a good night.